Train to operate from the port of Felixstowe has been undergoing trials today. The Power Haul locomotive can pull 30 wagons and take 60 containers off the busy A14.
One very powerful locomotive in front of 30 freight wagons. That makes a train that's 1,900 feet long. The rail haulage company Freightliner will be running it between Felixstowe and Birmingham, day in, day out.
It allows us to increase the payload so it can carry more weight. It also allows us to increase the length of the train. We're running this train today 30 wagons long, so it's going to carry 60 containers on there. That'll effectively be 60 vehicles off the busy A14 trunk road.
The Power Haul has a 3,700 horsepower diesel engine, takes 6,000 litres of fuel and can reach 70 miles an hour. The whole train is nearly a third longer than normal, but with size comes efficiency. The new loco emits less carbon per mile than its electric counterparts and much less than lorries for every tonne it hauls. On average, 40,000 containers come into the port of Felixstowe every week, and around 10,000 of them go out by rail. That's about a quarter. The rest are onto the A14. The port says it wants to increase rail freight, and it's planning a third rail terminal. Each of the Power Haul's return trips from Felixstowe takes 120 lorries off the roads. Many drivers on the A14 won't mind that at all. Ian Barmer, BBC Look East, Felixstowe.
In football, Colchester United have the chance to go back above Norwich in League One tonight. They're away to Brighton. Meanwhile, Ipswich could finally climb out of the Championship relegation zone. They go to Blackpool tomorrow.
It's been a problem all season. Goals, or lack of. Just 19 in 20 Championship games. Ipswich created chances against Peterborough, but once again failed to take them. It was the hot topic of debate at today's press conference. Patience the key for the visit of Blackpool.
The other night was very, very frustrating. I think we've obviously proved over the last few months we're pretty solid, we're hard to beat, but we got to go and win some football matches, and we need to do that tomorrow, because the chances we've been creating and missing, I've never known anything like it in my life.
In League One, Colchester play tonight. This goal from Kevin Lisby last week helped the U's to 3 points at home. 2 wins in 10 away games has just hindered their progress, but victory at Brighton will lift them to third.
It's not good enough, no, not for the standards that I think the group expects. We're only 10th in the league of away, and we need to be better than that if we're going to do what we want to do this season.
A 2-0 win over Oldham last week. Norwich hope to keep pace with the top two heading to Yeovil. Meanwhile, work to do for Steve Tilson's Southend. 3 straight defeats ahead of tomorrow's home game with Hartlepool. Tom Williams at BBC Look East.
You're watching.
Negotiators in Copenhagen have entered the final stages of talks aimed at reducing the world's output of greenhouse gases. Today, Europe said it would pay €7 billion into a fund to help developing countries adapt to climate change. We've heard about the devastating effects that climate change could have on some parts of the world. But what about us here in the east of England? Well, some signs are already there. We've seen changes in rainfall patterns resulting in dry, parched summers like the one just gone. And our winters have become much wetter. There's been a rise in sea level too. It's gone up 8 centimetres in the past 40 years, according to figures from the Climatic Research Unit at the University of East Anglia. That's 2 millimetres every year. We've seen flooding in our seaside towns and erosion along much of our region's coastline. So it's clear that wherever you live, you're likely to be affected by some degree by the changes to our climate.
Well, Professor Andrew Watkinson is a world authority on climate change. He's head of an environmental programme which is costing £1 billion over the next 5 years, and his job is to work out what we need to do to reduce the impact of climate change on our lives. That sounds very simple. What do we need to do here in this region?
Well, in this region we face a number of issues. Obviously we've got the warming temperatures, but we've also got, as it's been said, the drier summers and maybe slightly wetter winters. Our agriculture will have to change in the region. We're going to have to see changes in a variety of other sectors. There are going to be opportunities. There'll be opportunities in tourism. So when it gets warmer in Europe, people will want perhaps to come to this region. So it's not all bad news. There are good things about climate change and there are bad things about climate change.
You appear to me to be accepting that it is going to happen and that the chance maybe to stop it happening has gone.
No, we can stop the worst of it happening. We're committed now to climate change, certainly till 2030, 2040, 2050. The greenhouse gases we've put in the atmosphere have now essentially locked us into a change over that time period. The emissions reductions that Copenhagen is trying to negotiate, what they will affect is the lives of our children and grandchildren as we move towards the end of the century.
I remember maps which showed parts of this, Peterborough-on-Sea and places like that. Is that going to happen? Are we going to lose vast tracts of land to the sea?
There's no need for that to happen at all. The sea level that we might expect to see in terms of the change by the end of the century might be 50, 60 centimetres, maybe about a metre at most. We have the engineering capabilities to make sure that the region doesn't flood.
You were part of the research unit at the University of East Anglia, and there's been a lot of controversy recently about some leaked emails and things like that. Do you think that that's put the whole science of climate change into a position where people say, oh, well, it's not going to happen, we don't need to do anything?
Clearly, the hacking into the UEA system, computer system, and the theft of the emails has had a considerable impact on the public dialogue over the issue of climate science. The science is absolutely secure. The scientists are convinced that climate change is happening. The records from America, from NOAA, from NASA, from the Climatic Research Unit and from the Hadley Centre all indicate that we've had substantial climate change over the last century. That said, the dialogue with the public has clearly been affected by this incident, and one of the things that we're going to have to do is to build up that trust again with the general public.
In a word, are we awake to the problem, or are we sleepwalking into a disaster, do you think?
I hope we're awake to the problem, and I hope the decision that comes out of Copenhagen is going to be a very positive one. I think one has to take heart at the fact that world leaders are going to be attending the end of the summit, and they will want to see a positive outcome.
Professor, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Do you like surprises?
Oh, I was going to ask you that.
I know, I'll get in there first.
like the idea of surprises,
yes, you do.
But not sure how much I actually like the surprise itself. I'm a bit of my husband says I'm a control freak. But what about you? Don't say anything.
I think you move on very nicely. I'm saying nothing.
There was a big surprise today for a 14-year-old girl from Essex. Megan Parker has suffered terrible health problems since birth, but things have just got a lot better.
Life hasn't been easy for Megan Parker. Born with a twisted back, she's endured 40 operations on her spine. But now she's reached a milestone. Her body shell's been taken off.
Oh my God, what?
And today her family have surprised her with some chauffeur-driven pampering.
This is her first Christmas in 14 years. That she's actually had no brace, no plaster, been ill, not been in hospital, hopefully not been in hospital or going to be in hospital.
Been through a heck of a lot. And this means a lot.
With her biggest surprise yet to come, first stop, the hairdressers.
What she has been through, to see her smile like this is amazing.
Then at her favourite restaurant, the biggest surprise for a huge JLS fan.
2 nights in London.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I know that's what I'm going to get. Oh my God!
Mingling with celebrities this evening, Megan's attending the first Christmas party of her entire life. Felicity Simper, BBC Look East, Colchester.
What a great moment.
Isn't that
That's
lovely?
Fantastic. Now,